So today we're kind of just winging it. We don't have a pre-prepared subject. Ooh, you know what?
We got nothing.
One of the things I did want to touch on. Do you remember? I think it's past now, but the spatial intelligence. So Fei Li wrote a post called Spatial Intelligence. I think maybe like 2 months ago. So the post that she wrote actually made a lot of sense to me, which is basically that maybe there's like an extra level of intelligence to be unlocked with embodied AI. Because like if you throw your keys from across the room at me, I'm doing a ton of calculations to catch them.
Yeah.
And like no one really taught me how to do those. They kind of just evolved, right? Like there's parts of my brain that are like really good at evaluating depth perception, timing, and all of that stuff. And I think, oh man, I really should have reread the post before bringing it up. But I think the point of the post was kind of like, okay, language is cool, but you can end up with
it's just like scratching the surface.
Yeah, you can end up with a distorted model of the world, and her startup is. I mean, she wrote this as a form of advertising for, I think, World Labs, which is her startup, which is like basically we need to like think more in the direction of maybe robotics and embodied AI and having models learn from real world experiences and feedback, and not just from language.
Gotcha.
And there was like, I don't know, I don't want to be too negative about this, but it felt like there was like this chorus of like, it was like that Imagine song by John Lennon, like imagine if geospatial models were useful. Like I saw a few posts and comments about sort of like how it was relevant to geospatial. And I feel
so
like,
how is it relevant?
Well, I don't feel like it is. I mean, I feel like a lot of us got tripped up by the spatial word.
So they're like, oh, we've been doing it all wrong kind of thing?
I think the idea was like, oh, what's the next step of the geospatial analytics industry, right? Like, some takes were kind of like, oh, we've been stuck on just making maps for a while, but maybe we need to consider more deeply how the systems that we're mapping are evolving, or something like that. And a lot of,
I think I remember some stuff being like, oh man, we're just making maps.
Yeah, like let's guys, come on, we need to like model the world, and geospatial is the key to do that. And actually, I think,
let me guess, digital twins.
Maybe. Yeah, it's just weird, a lot of weirdness, and I was a little dismayed to read all of this, because some of the thoughts that were coming up were like, oh, we need to tie, like, level 1 is just making maps, but level 2 is using maps to make decisions. And I just thought, what have we been doing so far if people aren't making...
Wait, is that not what maps are for?
That's what I thought, but I guess it seemed like the take was like, oh, we need to tie maps into decision making, and then the next step is like predicting, right? Like predicting the thing that you're detecting using geospatial data. Like, how do we, I don't know, predict where deforestation is happening? I mean, I don't know.
Okay. I think I see some charitable interpretation of we need to do more than make maps. Of like, here's a map that showed you where this thing happened, like where this deforestation is, and then nobody did anything about it. And so, what good is the map?
Yeah.
And so I guess I get that.
I totally get that. I am in agreement with that. I'm just dismayed that it took like a blog post by someone not working in the field doing on something that was kind of irrelevant for people to think about this.
Yeah, and also I think at the same time I also disagree with the take of we need to be doing more than making maps. Like, yes, but we also need to be making better maps of lots of things.
Yep.
And so I don't, like, a map is just a medium for communicating geospatial data. It's like that's like somebody saying we shouldn't be writing reports because the reports aren't leading to anything. And it's like, well, that's kind of it's you can't blame the report in some sense, it's kind of like, well, people have to read the report, and then there has to be other things that happen for decisions to be made. It's the same thing with maps. They go in reports.
Totally. But the thing that drives me crazy is not someone saying like, oh, the reports aren't useful. It's like, oh, instead of making reports, we should try and predict the thing we're writing reports about. Like, that's not, like, I think there's a fundamental, like, I always think of it as like, are you modeling human behavior or are you modeling like a physical process, right? And I think a lot of the times, not always, but a lot of the commercial applications of geospatial Earth observation are actually modeling human behavior, right? Like what drives deforestation, like economics, like what drives like ships leaving oil slicks, and I don't know. I just feel like that's.
Aren't we modeling the physical process though, and then we're like linking it to human behavior after the fact?
Yes, but in order to predict, like the fundamental driver of the process, I think it's still like deforestation.
The driver of
for sure,
exactly, sure.
And so when you're talking prediction,
but we're measuring the physical process.
Yes, we are measuring the physical process, but the modeling perspective of like, oh, let's try and predict where deforestation happens.
Okay, so you're talking about predictive models, not models that are like identifying the thing.
Yes, yeah. Because I feel like this was like part of the things that people were posting about was like, oh, what's the next level of geospatial intelligence? It's like having some minority report system for where deforestation is going to happen in the Amazon, right? And I actually don't think that's too difficult to predict. It's like if there's a road, there's probably going to be deforestation occurring next to it, right? Like it's and that's like, again, thinking about what are the drivers of the process you're trying to measure via, like physics and stuff like that. So I was a little frustrated by a lot of the takes because I had felt like everyone should have been thinking about this from the beginning, right? Like when you make a model and you make a map or there's an output, like you should think about how someone's going to use it, right? Like
of course. Ideally. Or else why are you making the map?
Well, to publish a paper,
Sure.
Right? Like, or
yeah, I mean, papers are useful though. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Oh wow!
I look at maps and papers all the time, and I'm like, oh,
yes,
this kind of works.
Yeah, I feel like the incentives are a little misaligned in academia.
Yeah.
Like, are most papers useful? I don't know. I think no.
I think it's helpful to read bad papers too. Like, especially if you're like learning about some new, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm like scanning through papers. I'm like learning about water quality, for example. And it's like, I don't know that much. I don't know that much about what we can measure from space. So I'm reading papers and a lot of them are bad, but it's like useful to read the bad paper to be like, oh, all they did was, this very slight modification off of this like atmospheric correction, and it didn't generalize, but they did it over this tiny little piece of a river. But it's like, it's like you're still building. It's still helpful for me to read that and then read a bunch of other papers to be like, okay, this is the landscape of what people are doing. This is like, these are the limitations. This is where we can go. This is how you might operationalize something. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be so negative on it, I guess.
Yeah. I agree that there's many ways for papers to be bad, right? And I think the way you
the papers are just as bad as all the demos out there that don't do anything. I mean, it's the same thing.
I don't know if I fully agree with that because it's hard to interact with just the paper. But if I can interact with the demo and scroll around and zoom in and zoom out, I would say that's already a step better. But so let me counter with an example of a bad paper, like let's say water quality. Okay, so now imagine we trained a 500 billion parameter vision transformer, and it does really well on this benchmark. And I'm not showing you any maps, and I'm not showing you anything, but like look at these look at this one detection map and look at like these benchmark results that show state of the art on, like that kind of paper really frustrates me.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that kind of benchmark chasing, kind of like complexity for complexity's sake, that kind of frustrates me. But maybe there's still a useful signal in there too, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the demo thing is just another type of axis to get frustrated on, which is, here's the cool visualization. I zoom in and out and I see my points popping in and out, and whoa. But then like you have no idea how well anything works. And you never will know. And like which one is more frustrating? I don't know. They're equally frustrating to me. Actually, the demos pissed me off a little bit more, I think.
I can I think the papers pissed me off a little bit more, but that's because
you're an actual academic. So you were part of the paper mill at one point. So
I was I worked at the paper mill. Yeah.
I was never really in the paper mill, so maybe I still have this naive sort of,
rose-colored view of
the ivory tower is here to save us kind of thing,
I think like, especially with a lot of the work you've been doing recently, which is like taking academic methods and applying them in real life and seeing them work, like I think I would feel more positively about a lot of the papers too if that had been my experience.
Sure, and I think I've been lucky to read some really good papers, or to have what the really best thing to do is to know somebody who recommends you the one paper that you should read about something. And I don't know, good paper. I mean,
yep.
Even without like, most papers don't have a GitHub associated with them. Some of them do, but even just having a really good description of the methodology these days, I mean, we have all the tools to be able to get up and running with stuff like that really fast, right? So it's cool.
Yep, for sure. And I think good papers tend to be pretty simple, actually. Or
exactly. They're never like, oh, and we did this and this and this and this and this. Yeah.
They're, I don't know, I feel like they're kind of common sense, and they're almost more like just like straight up experiment reports. Like, here's what we tried, it worked. Look, it worked to this degree, and really, you can try it too if you want.
And really well written papers, it's like you realize which part of the piece of the methodology you can reasonably modify and be safe with.
Yep.
And which part you actually probably do need to follow pretty closely to what they did. Like, I love papers like that, where it's like you can get a sense of how you can kind of make it your own for the thing that you're doing, not just blindly copying everything that they're doing. It's kind of make it your own. I don't know. I think it can be creative. It's cool.
Yep. Yeah. I just think a lot of I think actually not even a lot. I think almost 100% of academics are not necessarily incentivized to write those kinds of papers.
Sure.
And I think that's a shame. I think maybe that's my overall feeling about this. It's like, I wish the incentives pointed towards more good papers, but I'm not sure they do actually. Or I'm not sure they do as much as they could. And actually, this is bringing up something I had just briefly considered before abandoning, because it would be like way too much work, and it would not make money, and all of those things. But basically, like a better kind of journal specifically for Earth observation, where like I don't know if you ever read like Distill.
I was just going to say like distilled.pub, but for geospatial.
Yeah. So maybe not like a strict sort of like a paper PDF style format, maybe more of like a blog post.
More of like a website.
Yeah, exactly. Like with an like interactive component. Yes. Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like it's that's the kind of stuff that we make, right? Like we make we make something that might be interactive, that
100%.
That totally walks you through the data.
But more technical.
Yeah, totally.
More technical, where like maybe the focus is even mostly on the technical aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's an app, there's GeoTIFFs, there's code. It's been deployed. People can scroll around and look. If you make a model to detect, I don't know, oil slicks, that model's deployed. Maybe it's continuously running over an area.
It's kind of funny there isn't more of it already because it's so easy to stand up sites like that. There's so much open source tech, what is it, Proton maps, and you can do like everything serverless. Like you don't even need a server now to what's that stuff they're doing at Development Seed where it's like you don't even need you can just like render cogs like on the fly in the browser. You don't even need any of the infrastructure you used to need, and like basic interactive maps are like trivial to make. And so
that's true.
I just feel like I don't know.
No incentives.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like, does it bump up your H index to do this?
Yeah.
I'm so jaded about this. But, I know that's a really good point. Actually, it's probably easier.
Why are you doing this with your blog posts?
Well, it would have to be someone else's. Hey, what?
I'm just saying.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I had thought about this. I had thought about this, how models are being released, but then you don't really see the maps that the models are generating. And often when you do see the maps, there's like tiling issues and all sorts of craziness.
I always laugh so hard when I see like a huge square like gap in the
or it just looks like a checkerboard.
Yeah. It's just because I've been worked through so many painful tiling issues in my life that it's
right.
It's like a both like, oh, I've been there, and like that's pretty embarrassing.
It's pretty embarrassing, and also like you would see it, right? Like I just
it's like clearly you didn't really look at it before you released it because this is the only thing I can see is this like sharp edge that is totally fake because that's like where your tile boundary is.
And another thing on my wish list for this journal of what would it be called? Journal of Applied Geospatial. JAG.
I think this is solved by just the creation of a personal website, and then you're done.
It is, but I feel like you could say the same thing about Distill, right? But something Distill.
No, I feel you.
Something that was really great about Distill. By the way, I think like people who worked at Observable helped with Distill or something like that. I think a lot of thought went into how do I explain the important bits of what I did, which aren't the citations, which aren't like maybe even the benchmark performance, but like what I did different, and like what are the interesting things about what I did, and how do I make like a really cool interactive demo to expose that, and so like people could. And I think people are doing this, by the way, like just, releasing their data and things like that. But I feel like making it really into something beautiful that really like showcases the beauty of what you did, because like I think the data tends to be pretty beautiful and the methods too.
I do know. But I think here's my hot take on this, which is that I think the reason it doesn't happen that much is because once you decide that you want to make something that looks amazing and really do justice to your data, you realize that it's like a really hard problem.
It's so hard.
And so, so then, I think that's why academic maps are so bad, is because they spend all their gas on the modeling bit, and then they make the map, and then they realize that, or maybe they don't even consciously realize this, but then the map kind of looks like shit. But then it's sort of like, oh my God, like we already did so much work. And it's not really in their wheelhouse to figure out, like, it's a totally separate skill, right? Like, how do you visualize this data so that it does justice to the thing you did and shows the data at the right scales, and the colors all make sense and it's clean? I mean, that's not like, that's not like trivial stuff. Yeah. And so I think.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And I think I looked into it, and Distill had specifically like a team of visualization volunteers to help people, And so I guess in my ideal world, this would be funded somehow by someone, and there would be people or volunteers or whatever who would be interested in the mission and would spend their time helping these scientists make their outputs look beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because this is like, I work on a team where most people are this.
Right.
And not the like data science people. Like obviously there's crossover and people do both, but a lot of people I work with are like, they're true like data viz people or design people. And so it's cool. I mean, it is kind of like studying a different thing. I mean, all people who are making maps should study some of that and do better because there's a lot of people making some shit maps, but but yeah, it's not like some trivial thing you can just like do in the last 6 hours before you got to submit the paper. You got to spend a long time.
Yeah, and the final thing is that Distill stopped because everyone got burnt out because it was so much work.
There's so much work.
Yeah, so like it would have to be, and they were all volunteers.
Yeah,
they just did it for the love of the game, and I would love for it to start up again, especially these days. Like I feel like there's.
I think this is your new mission.
Oh God!
I mean, it's a good mission.
No, this is like one of those like pipe dreams. Maybe a retirement plan.
But you can do. I mean, but you can do interactive maps and stuff in Substack, right? Like you can embed custom interactive maps in Substack, right? Like if you were writing a blog post, like I was joking a little bit when I was like, I can't believe you're not doing this, but like you could, right?
I don't think you can.
Oh, really? I've never published a thing on Substack, so I have no idea.
I think you can do it in Notion, but I think Substack's pretty restrictive. Like I just put videos when I want to showcase something.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, it's not just about the viz. I think there's also like a science communication part. That I think a lot of papers, like sometimes it's like so hard to get the point of the paper. Like the kernel of insight that the paper is showing, because the paper format is so rigid, right? Like abstract. Yeah. And it's like this could be a paragraph and then I explore the data.
Right.
Like
yeah.
Not that I'm saying it should be that, but I don't even know. I can't even remember how we got onto this subject. But this is something I wish someone else would do. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I should ask Jed if he wants to do this.
Okay.
Source Co-op could have its own like journal.
So all the data that's on Source, it's like there's some nice front ends to explain them or interact with them or something,
or explore them. Yeah.
But you can already kind of explore the data on Source, right? Like I can go into QGIS and pull the data from Source.
Someone could spin. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's yeah. Well, maybe I'll think about this a little more.
I think this could be your thing.
My thing is the Earthside podcast, Christian.
That's right. This is your number one priority in life.
This is my number one priority.
Yeah. It's such a high priority that it's been like a month since we did this.
Holidays, people were sick.
Yeah.
You were busy drinking $30 Negronis in New York one night.
What are you talking about?
That just made me laugh so much. Like I had to cancel because my dog rolled in a dead skunk, and then you had to cancel because you went out for cocktails.
Well,
I was like, wow.
When I go out, it's a special event, so
it's true.
Podcast goes on the back burner. Yeah.
Yeah. This is making me think about something else, which is that, I've been working on this whole discussion about like, how do maps factor into decision making, and how do we because I've been working on weather data for about, I don't know, 9 months now.
That's right.
And still very new to it. Like I haven't actually been exposed to the numerical weather prediction side of things a lot, but I have been exposed to like consumers of weather products or analytical products built on weather data.
Okay.
It's just
what's an example of a product that you can build on weather data?
actually, everyone kind of consumes weather data. So, like, let's say you're a city and you live in a place, you are situated in a place where sometimes there's ice, sometimes there's snow, and you need to coordinate logistics for snowplows.
Okay.
Right? Like
Yeah, my city's a good example.
Yeah, someone might sell you a specific snow prediction product to tell you when a big storm's coming.
Oh, they're not just getting that from the NWS or whatever?
They are, but there are also private companies offering like slightly more accurate, slightly more tuned to your specific region, things like that.
This is like AccuWeather. Is that like an equivalent of what you're talking about?
AccuWeather, Vaisala. Like there's actually a ton of private companies doing like analytics.
How much better do they do than the NWS though?
That's a great question. That is a great question. And who measures? How do you even measure that?
Well, right? If they predict 8 inches of snow, you can measure it, right?
You can, but first of all, like the predictions are gridded. Are your measurements going to be gridded? The answer is no. There'll be like an observation station, something like that. So I think it's actually very tricky.
Okay.
And on top of that, this is something that made me realize, and this is probably true of most models actually. Like, when we train and it's a classification problem and we're looking at F1 and it's like the harmonic mean of precision and recall, we're kind of treating precision, like false positives and false negatives, as equally weighted. But in the real world, let's just take the weather example. If the weather forecast tells you it's going to be sunny and it rains versus the weather forecast tells you it's going to rain and it's sunny, that has a very different
not equally weighted.
No, it's not equally weighted, right? There's like a lot of like psychology, regulation also, like if a city, for example, over prepares with snowplows and they hire more contractors, did they get a refund? Like what's worse for the mayor of a city? That they spend a little extra for this particular storm, or the city ground to a halt because they weren't ready.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And I think a lot of states, at least in the US, have regulation that pushes, what do we call it? Not first responders, core services, essential services, to be over-prepared rather than under-prepared, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But hold up, are these cities really buying data from companies that are not NOAA, National Weather Service, stuff like that?
I think some are, some want to just be told like, here are the things that we think are going to happen, and a lot of private companies would also integrate existing, they'll integrate GFS and HER and the European models and things like that, and then they'll have their own like secret sauce on top of that makes it a little better, and so I think actually, and I think they are, and sometimes it's because they want to show that they are taking this stuff seriously, and they have a budget specifically for it.
We have multiple data sources telling us, and we weight everything, and we make our decision based on that kind of thing. Ensemble models are the predictions.
Yeah, and regulations force them to kind of push them, incentivize them to be over-prepared, which I think is a good thing.
Okay.
So I would say maybe a lot of this is regulation-driven as well. I mean, honestly, it's been 9 months. What do I really know what I'm talking about? But this is the sense that I get, and this is, I guess, what I found surprising so far is like we just talked through like a real-world example of someone making decision based on like geospatial data.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
based on a map.
It just based on a map. Well, based on a map.
It's a map. It's a time series
many
map.
maps.
Many
maps.
Yeah.
And at no point were we like, oh, spatial intelligence, what is the next frontier? It's like very clear cut, right? Like,
it obviously serves a purpose.
It obviously serves a purpose. And I've just never worked on anything like that in Earth observation.
Really?
Where it's so clear. It's so clear. And I think, I guess the reason I brought this up is because I've just been surprised at how much more it seems so clear cut in weather as opposed to Earth observation. and maybe that's obvious, like actually your friend James from Series,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about this, and he pointed out, well, it's just more interpretable, right? Like people are used to interpreting the weather, and I think that's like an aspect of it. I think another aspect is that it's forward looking,
Sure,
so
sure.
like
It's
more,
predictive.
yeah, it's more useful to know the future than the past. uh And I think a final thing is that like weather affects everyone and
Yeah,
people can die because of weather. Like I don't know how many people died because of the NDVI.
exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
actually quite a few because of crop yields and
Oh,
things like
yeah.
that. But it's not like instant.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I hear stories about like people working on like offshore oil and gas rigs, and it's really important for them to
Yeah.
know how strong the winds are going to be and things like that. And someone was
Yeah.
telling me like, oh well, I know like X many knots because your hair just stands straight up,
Yeah.
like if you have long hair, and that's what that means. And the waves get really choppy, and it's like really life or death,
Yep. Yep.
and that's
Yep.
like just like that's like the business of like reduce region, right? It's
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
reduce like over a point, reduce the grid over a point, tell them what you think is going to happen, tell them how it's going to evolve, and they don't need like technical skills to interpret that knowledge,
Right.
load the
Right.
GeoJSON or whatever. You're just telling them like, hey, this is how fast the wind's going to be.
Yep. Yep.
We don't have to solve the problem of what you do when wind is this fast for you.
Right. Right.
That's already happening. So
I totally hear you on the weather thing and about how it's just so obvious how it fits. I actually think these things do exist in Earth observation. They're just not as like,
widespread.
or maybe they're just like taken for granted when they do use them. So I think one good case is like the conflict mapping, humanitarian mapping
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
using satellite imagery to be like, oh, something
Yes.
happened here and this building was damaged or this facility was
Mm-hmm.
damaged, or like this thing happened and it's important that we can see it and
Yeah.
characterize it. Like,
Yeah.
I think to me, that's just as obvious of a, yes, this makes sense. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
cares that it's intelligence or whatever, how you did it. They just care that, this place was affected. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's, I don't know, to me, that's just as obvious. And then like the
Mm-hmm.
whole like, this tanker doesn't have its AIS on. Where is this
Mm-hmm.
tanker? Boom, we
Yep.
saw it in a satellite image. It's over here at this time. It's just
Yep.
really obvious use case for.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's plenty of those. But I think that maybe why they don't get talked about as much is that maybe it's just harder to think about monetizing that stuff than it is with some of the weather data, or
Mm.
like maybe it's more of a monetization thing, which is why I think all the chatter you hear about all this bullshit about maps and intelligence and prediction and stuff is because there's not really a market for that thing. And so it's sort of like people being like, yeah, there isn't a market, so like how do we create a market for this thing? It's because we have to predict it.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, but it was already kind of weak to begin with.
Yeah, totally. So, absolutely agree. There are applications that can be life or death in Earth observation. I think, I guess I was just surprised at like the variety of applications of like commercial weather data.
Yeah.
It just surprised me, like especially compared to Earth observation, where I had seen companies like like a Descartes Labs try to do like it's funny because maybe if Descartes Labs had been in weather as opposed to Earth observation and had tried to solve the gamut of problems that it had tried to solve, the wide variety, there might have been more success. The second thing I wanted to think about is, okay, if there's no commercial, if no one's willing to pay for it, does that imply something about the value of the product of the thing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I feel like this keeps coming up in Earth observation where like this is clearly important and valuable, but no one will pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or not no one. Not as many. It's hard to justify the cost based on what the market is pricing this at.
Right. No, I think that's a great question. It's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, none of this stuff should be free because it costs a lot of money to operate these things and store all this data and so, but at the same time, yeah, you're right. I mean, with the humanitarian application stuff, it's like there aren't tons of people lining up to pay for this stuff, yet the data has obvious immense value, but I just don't know. It's like just government subsidized for life. Like, I don't know.
Right. And when you say it has obvious value, are you thinking more in terms of like planning or just like knowledge transfer, like this, or spreading knowledge of like what happened, like this is what happened. You wouldn't have known about this unless we detected it.
Like if you're covering active war where people can't go in to report on what's happening and you don't know which places were affected, then you don't know. Then you're for like an organization that's trying to help people on the ground, you might not know where to go.
Right.
And so I think there are some but maybe
so like logistics.
Yeah, logistics. But maybe those organizations need to figure out a way to pay for this data. I mean, and they kind of are already. So I don't really know, but like maybe the market's actually exactly where it should be, and
right, because like true demand, like demand volume is low.
Yeah,
the intensity. The difference it can make to one person is a lot. One organization is a lot. That just feels like the geospatial story all over, right? Like most of these pixels are useless. You're never going to look at them, but some of them are really important to you and you got to find them, and everyone has a solution that would be like super important to them. You just can't sell it to anyone else. Or it's hard, that's weird.
Yeah.
Not really thought about that.
And I guess so forgetting the commercial side of it for a second, I mean, there's an obvious application for sort of like advancing science. Like, if you go to something like AGU, I went to AGU in December, tons, thousands and thousands of abstracts using Earth observation data to advance science, like studying how glaciers are melting over 30 years using Landsat and stuff, right? And like I'm just talking about random examples, but yeah, like there is a lot of real science to be done with the data that maybe nobody's looking at for a commercial thing, but yeah, maybe the translation task is just a little bit harder or I don't know.
So basically this should be funded like science, so like government funded essentially.
And a lot of it is already.
Yeah. I just wonder if it's going to continue,
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, the ESA I don't think is backing down from. They're not backing down from funding.
No.
Yeah.
They're not backing down. They're bumping it up. But yeah, I just wonder how sustainable this all is. Like, do we expect governments to keep funding this forever when the metrics they use maybe to calculate return on investment aren't capturing the true value? Because we just spoke about that issue of like demand volume being low, but the importance of it being high. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hard problem to solve. Glad I'm not solving it.
Maybe this is your mission. I can do the journal, and you can figure out the market for Earth observation.
I think we've got it flipped. I'll do the journal. You figure out the market.
It's true. You are seeming more enthusiastic about the science.
I mean, at least you kind of know what you're trying to do. You can use the data to do it and have a result.
Yeah.
As opposed to like we're gonna build this thing. They'll come.
Oh God.
Nobody's coming.
Science is a little like that, except when they come, they don't even pay you money. They just cite your paper. You know, like,
and then you
and you
pat
get
yourself on the
invited.
back.
Yeah, you get invited to the next conference in Australia or Bali.
Great, sign me up.
Yeah, yeah. I do have some feelings about, like, I spent so long in academia, and the whole time I was just I was like doing the equivalent of like benchmark maxing, because that's what I thought my career was, like
Yeah.
that's how you got promoted, and you got a paper into Nature or Science, and I do wonder what it would be like to do it for real on something that I'm genuinely interested in,
Yeah.
that I believe in,
I mean, I
where
think
I'm
that's the
not
thing is
worried.
that even in I think just in academia too, if you find the right place,
Yeah.
if you build your own lab from scratch or you join some lab that is exactly aligned with what you want to be doing and you get to actually advance research in that direction and hopefully you're not hopefully you're getting paid reasonably for that. Like it's never going to be the commercial level uh money on that front, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I know people in academia who are doing that and
Yep. Yep.
and I don't think they would trade it for the other thing. And
No.
so, I think there's just a whole pile of bullshit that's separate from the whole pile
Yeah.
of bullshit in the commercial world.
Yeah. But those people are just lucky enough to have like found their
Sure,
thing,
sure. But maybe now that you've
And
seen everything, you know where to look,
everything.
I think it's hard when you're like doing your PhD or something and doing it because it's like you
Yeah,
kind of
you
don't
don't get
know
to
anything
choose.
else. Like you kind of
Yeah.
just land into something, but if you came at it later in life, it'd be different.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, when you're doing, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so so it seems like the weather stuff is legitimately cool and interesting and
Hmm.
impactful. I'm curious.
Uh,
I'm curious where it kind of sucks.
oh, I mean, that's so easy, right? Like, anything you're trying to forecast, it sucks to be the person forecasting. Like, just, it's awful. Like, people, my God, I mean, it's been a good learning experience. And, but, like the customers, it really depends on the application. Like sometimes you got a wider margin of error, right? Like if wind
So
gusts
you're
were,
predicting something that's not just what the weather is going to be. You're predicting some other thing based on what the weather is going to be as an input. Is that a
yeah,
fair summarization of what you're talking
that's a
about?
fair
Okay.
that's a fair summary of what I'm doing in particular. And I think some applications are more like dependent on the raw performance of the weather model, right? Like, what is the cyclone track going to be, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a very clear, like, all right, that has to be good. And others are just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, how much icing is going to happen on this road, or and that's like slightly different because you might not have a clear measurement of that.
Hmm.
Um, and But in general, you're forecasting like a number. And
Yeah.
anytime you do that and your customer has access to that number, or it affects their operations, and they have some sort of proxy measurement for it, when you get it wrong, they come knocking, as they should, right? Because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
paid for a
Yeah.
product,
Yeah.
and they say, hey, the number's off. I don't know if you remember, but it's like when I tried to do the oil palm acreage,
Yeah.
and the guy was like, "You're off by 8%. That's not
Yeah.
good enough. We need 4%."
Yeah.
And with the oil palm example, I was kind of like, "But do you?" But for a lot of these guys, I'm kind of like, "Okay, you clearly do need
You do.
this.
Yeah.
You do need this, right?" Um, and so that really sucks,
Yeah.
And I think that, but that's just the price of like
That's the
doing
price of doing
something that,
forecasts.
yeah, doing forecasts and doing something that people are using,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like people are gonna complain, and it's especially tough when they have like access to I don't know, point observation, station measurement, or like maybe some wind reports from the National Weather Service or something like that to compare it to. And they can be like, hey, you were off by this much.
Yeah.
But actually what's interesting is what I'm realizing is, a lot of these customers are kind of aware that like this is a difficult task.
Yeah.
And more often than not, they just want to know how you're going to solve the problem or how you're going to try and solve the problem. They don't want you to get it perfectly right because like no one can do that. But so it's this is like very much a customer communication problem and not, I think it's actually much less of an actual science problem unless the model's really bad, but so that is very anxiety inducing, and I don't like it when people are unhappy at work. So
yeah, you're a people pleaser.
I'm a people pleaser. Yeah, absolutely. So, the customer is king, Krishna.
All right.
No, and so that's kind of sucked. The other thing that's been difficult is like there's just so much that I don't know. Like, I mean, in every field, but particularly in like meteorology, like I've been speaking to some meteorologists and like I just learned how to read wind barbs. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. Like if you look at some of these charts, they are ram-packed full of information.
Wow, yeah.
And there's just like so much knowledge of like this kind of weather pattern and we expect it to do this.
They have all their own intuition on it.
Yeah. And something that's really interesting is, well, maybe it's not interesting, but something that I've realized is like in Earth observation, very often you kind of like the product is like you're looking at the raster data to like debug and things like that.
Yeah.
Meteorologists, it's like all vector.
Yeah.
It's like here are the pressure boundaries, and I'm going to put a little thing here to indicate the wind, and I just thought that was another like interesting separation between,
because it's all time series and it's all low res, right?
Yep, and it's like I guess in some way they've already encoded what patterns they need to look at to get the relevant information. Like I don't need to look at these pixels. I just need to look at the contours of pressure and
that's
wind
cool.
speeds and wind barbs and things like that. So but yeah, so what sucks about forecasting is that you're predicting a number that people can hold you to.
Yeah.
And that's always a losing proposition. Yeah.
You're making something people are using though. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that is cool. Yeah.
It is cool. I actually unfortunately haven't really done that before. So it's a good experience. I think you just realize how much more it is about like the human to human interaction than like the crunching the data. Like setting expectations, communication, like getting ahead of stuff, being unified in your messaging.
Sounds like you're ready to be like a product sales architect,
Oh, God.
Customer success manager. There you go.
Customer success manager. That could be me. Yeah. I do. I mean, and the thing is, because a lot of my time has been taken up by this, I'm actually doing less of the science, and
you're loving it.
No, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it. I'm getting an insight into operations, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I do miss like learning more about the actual problem so that I can think about it more, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, another thing we're supposed to talk about was AI.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have access to Claude Code yet?
I do.
You do? At work? Have you started using it? What are your thoughts?
Total Opus? Game changer.
It's
absolute total game changer.
I know. I mean, it's kind of depressing.
So you've told me that a few times, and I think before I was fully set up on Claude Code, I was like using, Gemini 3 and 5.2 and stuff and VS Code and with the agent mode and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I'm not getting as depressed,
Mm,
but yeah,
yeah,
I'm curious, but I think I'm holding maybe a tighter rein on it, or I'm still doing pieces of it.
yeah,
I'm still trying to do pieces of it like very hands-on, especially the part that's tricky
yeah,
to like
yeah,
because when it comes to validation, it's like I really have to know,
yeah,
really have to understand some pieces of this to be able to know
absolutely.
whether it's actually working or not, you know? And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it's actually just helped me do more of the interesting pieces of the job and less of the less interesting pieces of the job.
Yeah. I think it probably depends what the job is in
Yeah.
general. Like I've got a huge backlog of like data engineering and a little bit of science too, but like the data engineering is to support the science. And I think I used to find this stuff enjoyable.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun to learn.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like you gain a skill and I've been thinking about this a lot, and Claude Code and Opus 4.5 is like really taking away a lot of the effort I would put into like reading
Mhm.
documentation,
Mhm.
like spinning up a little notebook or a script,
Mhm.
testing this piece and then testing the next piece and then putting it together
Yeah.
and then when you're finally done, you're like, wow, I feel like I climbed this whole mountain step
Yeah,
by
yeah,
step.
yeah.
And now it's like, hey Opus, don't make mistakes, do it. And it does a really good job, and then you're kind of left with like the crappy bits of
Huh.
like micromanaging and like
Yeah.
like
Managing a bunch
you're
of
like,
junior engineers or something like
yeah,
that.
you're like a
Yeah.
supervisor. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, I don't want to talk smack. We probably have some supervisors listening, uh but I realize that this is a part of the job that I do not enjoy, like having someone do my work for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh
yeah.
and I started like reading into this because it was really, I had like a similar kind of like at the beginning, like, wow, this is amazing. And then after a while, like, just, I guess I had a lot of time to think while it's generating. And I was just thinking, like, why does this not feel good? Like, why something's taken like some part of the joy out of work.
Hmm.
Um, and I started reading. Alice has been doing the dog training, and
Yeah.
just thinking about behavior a lot.
Yeah.
And I started reading more about behavior, and it turns out that maybe this is obvious also, but people attach value to things that they have put effort into, like
Mhm. Mhm.
intrinsically,
Mhm.
like even if the thing might not have a value, have any value.
The
And what's
value is
even
that
more,
you did it.
the values that you did it and you spent effort in it. And what's even more interesting is that this scales across species. Like, even apparently they've done studies on ants,
Wow.
and they exhibit some sort of behavior. Ants, dogs, chimps, whatever. It scales. It's like a universal thing. It's
Yeah.
like an evolutionary thing. And so now you have this thing taking the effort out of your work all of a sudden, which means that intrinsically your work loses value to you,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, you're less invested, and you need to find other ways to be invested other than I did a hard thing, which used to be enough, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I think
Like
it's
solving the problem for solving the problem's sake.
yeah. Yeah, and you learn something, and you can, and that's the part of that I'm struggling with. Like, I think I'm a pretty skilled user, like
Yeah, yeah.
I've got like my workflow down, and but these days I can work on like three separate feature branches simultaneously.
Yeah.
And first of all, I never enter a flow state. Like, it just doesn't happen,
Hmm.
because it's like send, wait, monitor.
Mhm.
I'm like the tester, and I'm like QA, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I'm like the manager, and I'm QA, and that's way less fun than being like the creator.
Yeah.
The so yeah, it's been, but
That's so
amazing. Like,
interesting. That's so interesting.
yeah.
I think that if I just like rewinded to the type of work I was doing even 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and I put myself in Claude Code and I had this Claude Code and stuff, I think I would feel the exact same way actually. But I
Yeah.
think the nature of my work is just so different now from what it used to be that because like it's pretty rare anyways that my entire day would be spent like writing. Like I'm not like building features.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not building
Right.
features. I'm doing a one-off thing and I build whatever I need to do that thing, and then I go do another thing. And part of doing the thing in my job is actually like writing the code and doing the analysis is one little bit of it, but then so much my actual job is like I'm looking at the outputs in QGIS and being like, oh, are we gonna zoom in here because this is interesting? Yeah. And then what else are we gonna say about this? You know, so it's like I can't just be like Claude Code. What am I gonna say about this? Like it's gonna feed me some dog shit, you know?
Well, first of all, yes. Second of all, you might be surprised.
No. I chat with these things about that kind of stuff all the time, but it's not that it's not good. It's just the nature of it is less. There's less of a clear task.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's more like, I wonder what we can say. Like, help me do some research. Like, I want you to find some. Like,
show me the options.
Exactly. Yeah. It's way more like I'm chatting with somebody who's helping me on a problem, as opposed to like giving somebody a task, and it's like we know when it's right and we know when it's done, and so yeah.
And that is the fun bit. Like every time I've stopped and I've looked at the data and I've tried to solve the problem myself, my enjoyment has gone back up again, you know, because now I'm in the mix, you know, and I'm just having Claude generate like a whole bunch of different plots for me to review. Right? Yeah. But once I'm reviewing them and I'm looking at the data, now I'm doing the work, you know, like
totally.
I'm trying to think about like, oh, there's like, I don't know, some bias in the wind here and some, you know, and that's the fun bit. But there's also something like kind of insidious about the tool, which is that I have a hard time tearing myself away from it. Like when it's running, I'm always like, oh, I wonder if it does like this casino effect, which is, by the way, a real thing, especially in dog training. But it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The success rate's going up, but it really creates this like sort of like addictive checking pattern of like, oh, I wonder if it did good this time. I wonder if I hit the jackpot. Let me pull the lever on this slot machine one more time. And I'm actually finding myself overworking more, even though this thing is supposed to make my job easier. Because it's like before I would just get tired and I'm like, okay, I can't focus anymore. I'm like browsing news websites or Hacker News or whatever. It's time to stop. Now it's like I can browse while it's working and all I got to do is check, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it creates like really, I think it creates really unhealthy work patterns, actually. Like this kind of like multitasking, scattered, constant checking pattern. It's like, I don't know. I don't like it.
One thing I still do a lot for, especially like Earth Engine type stuff, or like stuff that I know is going to be a little bit tricky, is that it's not that I won't use agent mode. Like what I'll do is I'll be like, hey, like I want to do this, and like I kind of generally know that I want to do it like this, this, and this, and it's going to give me the boilerplate starting point. And then what I do is I kind of, this might sound so stupid, but I type everything. And I'm kind of like, I've got like, you know, 2 monitors, and I've got like the thing that it's given me on one side, and then I'm typing it. But like as I'm coding, I start getting into like
notice stuff. Yeah.
I'm like inspecting the data as I go, and I'm noticing things, and then I'm reading its code, and I'm like, wait,
why'd you do this?
I don't quite want to do it like that. And then like I feel like that has really, then it's kind of really more like, you know, Stack Overflow Plus or whatever. But that I still feel like when I do that, I'm typically understanding what I'm doing better, and then I'm still maintaining the satisfaction of like, the notebook at the end of the day is mine. It's like I know how it works.
Totally. I think the game changer. Actually, right before Opus 4.5 came out, I was like kind of getting frustrated with a lot of the tools. Like, they're good, but they're not good enough.
Yeah.
And I find myself wasting more time than I'd like, and I'm getting frustrated. And I spent like a week I just didn't allow myself to use them. And first of all, I'm not sure if I was that much slower. And second of all, my enjoyment.
I mean, I've seen all kinds of articles on Hacker News or whatever that talk about this. Like, the productivity is like, is there really productivity gains? I mean, I think there definitely are productivity gains, but maybe they're not uniformly spread.
No, it's super jagged.
Yeah.
It's super jagged. But then after Opus, I don't know, there's just been like, I just feel like there's been a bit of a step change. It's really good at tool calling, which means that like, am I going to go munge these files on S3 myself? Or am I just going to ask it to go parse a bunch of files on S3?
Yeah. Oh, the parsing stuff I've stopped doing. I'm just like, I do a lot of that stuff. It's like, no, I'm not. I cannot write this code better than you can.
For sure. But then you end up losing track of where things are. Because it's like Opus knows, but like you weren't in there. You're gonna have to ask it again. You're gonna have to ask it again and again. I feel like you just have a much blurrier. Maybe this is just what being a manager is like. You just know less.
No, it's you trust your people, you trust your model.
Oh. Okay, but isn't this kind of freaky though, right? Like what does this imply about like, I don't know. I just feel like something's going on here, and we are kind of like, a lot of people still aren't using Claude Code or still on Cursor using this or whatever, like they're old, and then some people still aren't using AI to code.
Sure.
And I just feel like, I don't know, I'm getting like a glimpse into, if the models are this good now, if you just think about where we were a year ago, nowhere near this, right?
Yeah.
And so where are we going to be in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years? I don't know. I've been getting a little freaked out about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm getting less freaked out, but
right, yeah, because
I don't know. Yeah. But because I just feel like it hasn't helped me. These things haven't helped me like they haven't helped me like fully solve the problem by them. They haven't fully solved the problem by themselves.
Right.
For me yet. And
right.
And I've gotten burned a few times where I feel like I was like, I'm just gonna, this thing is going, like trust, keep, go. And then I ended up with this thing that was like producing very suboptimal outputs, and I at some point I tore the whole thing down.
Yep.
And it was like, there was another time at which I got it to give me, I went against my own intuitions for how I thought Earth Engine worked in terms of like, I was trying to like, do some aggregations over like very large feature collections over large areas. And I had done stuff like that before. So I thought I knew like kind of how to set that code up right. And then some stuff didn't work. And then this model, I think it was Gemini 3. I'm not trying to like throw any model under the bus, whatever. But it was like, but it gave me a piece of advice for Earth Engine that was like verifiably wrong. That was like, it was something like sample regions is more efficient to reduce regions for your use case. And it was like actually false. Like it actually wasn't. And I like made all these changes and I was like, wait, like this doesn't feel right. And then I was like, fuck this thing.
That's the worst feeling. It's so frustrating. It's like more frustrating than making that mistake yourself by 10, by an order of magnitude. I agree, but it's also like, have you written it in a Waymo?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so anyway, there's been like a whole bunch of articles. I wrote in one for the first time this year.
Yeah,
pretty magical, but then immediately you're just like used to it. But I guess what's interesting about that, and I this is what I used to try to like comfort myself about this, is that we've had like operational self-driving cars since like 2014, right? It's just that they weren't reliable enough. Like the nines of reliability, like 99.999. Apparently, like to get from each 9 to the next 9, it's kind of like more effort or at least the same.
Sure,
so to get from like 90 to 99 and etc. etc. And I wonder if, okay, I think like the things I bring to the table, I don't still believe that like a model will not be able to do.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if a CEO is going to believe that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, but I still think like...
No, I have no idea what this means for people's jobs. I mean, for my job or anybody's jobs or stuff. No idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't bode well.
It doesn't bode well. Like, this is actually, I think, like a pretty good time to have your own thing, you know, like have capital, do your own thing, because like that's definitely accelerated.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you can call the shots, then, you know, all the better for you.
Right.
But
hold up, with the Waymo stuff, I read about something last year where it's like there was just like all the cars shut down in like the same spot from something, and then like nobody could drive around them. Yeah, in San Francisco.
Yeah,
so like, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No. I guess what I was saying is like it's still exactly right. Like, that's kind of the point. It's like it still takes time. Like since 2014, it's been a really long time that we've had like technically an operational car that can drive itself, but like all of the wrinkles haven't been ironed out yet, and continue to not be ironed out.
Yeah.
And I think that shutdown is kind of funny actually. It's because there was a power outage, and all the traffic lights stopped working. And I guess maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's
the cars are just like, we'll stop.
The cars are like, there's no green light. Why would I keep driving? Which is technically the safest thing to do.
Sure, but pissed everybody off.
Right. People were pissed off, but no one died.
Yeah. So what a win.
And I think that's their metric, actually. It's like, you know, are we safer?
Fatalities.
Obviously, the safest thing is just to not have Waymos on the road. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am scared and also excited for like Opus 5 and Opus 6 and whatever. Like,
Claude Code's a nice tool though. Wow.
Very nice tool. Screen flickering is really annoying, but like just the sheer amount of things you can have running. Is kind of crazy.
Its level of integration feels very different from like just working in the IDE, you know, or
so natural
the browser-based thing.
Tools.
And it really feels like, at least the way it's designed, it's like it feels less like it's designed for the Claude Code to kind of do everything for you, but more as like a companion.
Yep.
You know, the whole pair programmer. I think people talk about that a lot. It's like, it's more like the pair programmer, and this other tool that somebody built is more like trying to do it all for you or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been using it that long. I'm still pretty new. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, you still have time to start feeling depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have your existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.